All right, we are back, Jesse.
Yes.
This is Real Talk, episode 24, our self-care check-in. We were literally just saying with our checking in with each other before we started recording, we should have just recorded that because so we're just probably gonna repeat that conversation. Um, but yeah, we're just gonna kind of talk about what's going on with us, what stressors we might be having, and what we're doing our best to how we're doing our best to self-care, what we're doing for self-care, and yeah, that kind of stuff. Even talking about it today is super helpful. I would say that. So I had an appointment with my counselor on Tuesday and basically just like dumped all of my stress onto her because I mean that's what she's there for. But I got on with her. Shout out to Bonnie again. I know she listens sometimes. But and she's like, "So what's going on?" And I was like, "I'm stressed." And she's like, "Well, what happened?" And I was like, "Everything." Not all of it's bad. Most of it's not bad, but that doesn't mean that stress isn't stress, you know?
Right.
And I think that's what's interesting. But yeah, I don't know, Jesse, do you mind if I just dump my stress?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm just gonna here, listeners, here's everything going on with me. So, and most of it's good. But yeah, so work is busier because it is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Oh my gosh, and this episode is going to post on my husband's birthday. So happy birthday, Lewis. Love
Happy
you a lot.
birthday.
Thank you. Um, but Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, so there are so many events and just so much that we're doing. And I absolutely love that. Of course, I mean, one as a clinician who works with suicide and suicide loss, and then of course from being a 988 center. We did have 988 Day at the Capitol. It was a huge success. So I mean, just amazing stuff. But I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. And then Jesse, just like we were talking about that, like you can absolutely love your job and one, it still be stressful. And then two, it's almost like an extra layer of stress because like
Mhm.
you're never going to half-ass anything because you really care about
Right.
what happens, which I mean, obviously both of us do. We're so passionate about our careers here at Link.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. And so that's going on. And then Lewis and I got a dog, which I think I mentioned last episode. Maybe, who knows? Um, because of said dog, I am very like sleep deprived today because even though he's just like a 12-pound like potato is what he looks like, cutest potato ever, he somehow takes up our entire bed. I don't know how that happens. So we're still navigating how we sleep with Mikey Farrow Martin in our bed. And then Lewis couldn't sleep last night. He was tossing and turning all over the place. And then I was worried that was gonna like rip his incision open from his back surgery. Um, so then he got up and came and slept on the couch in the living room because he didn't want to keep me up because he knew I had work in the morning. Because Lewis is also still home recovering from his surgery, which that's a stressful thing because we're just kind of like waiting for the follow up to be like, when can he move like a normal person again? When can
Right.
he, get in the car whenever he wants to again? All of that kind of stuff. So there's that going on. And then my grandfather did pass away last Saturday, which is a lot of mixed emotions because he was quite ill with dementia. And, I know so many people have gone through that with loved ones, and it's just awful to watch. And I feel almost like while there is some relief that he's not stuck in this body and this brain that doesn't work anymore, that it's almost like when his dementia started to get so bad, it was like, well, I can't process that now. And then now that
Right.
he has passed, it's kind of happened, or is happening. And then, of course, it's my mom's father. And, just wanting to make sure I'm being there and supporting my mom and because she's so wonderful and she's always the most amazing support person for me, and I can only hope I can be a tenth as supportive as she is. And um yeah, so that's going on. And then, something I haven't talked about on the podcast before, that Lewis and I have been struggling a little bit with fertility. And we don't have any children yet, and we really want to have one perfect baby. And so, we tried for about a year and nothing has happened. And June, I think we started doing, running tests and things like that to see what was going on. And basically, it's kind of like I'm old and my egg count's just getting lower. So I've been seeing a fertility doctor and just managing all of those appointments. And it's like all of these prescriptions and all of these appointments and my fertility doctor versus also being with my OBGYN. And they're kind of like managing different things. Like the fertility doctor, as my OBGYN put it, is like my advocate to get pregnant. And then my OBGYN is like, okay, but then I need to make sure once you're pregnant that you and the baby are as healthy as can be. So it's almost like completely different things. And then it's like all these other, like I had to do like an HSG like x-ray thing. And again, just prescriptions and vitamins like all over the place. And I'm just blindly doing whatever they tell me basically. I trust them and I'm like, and I can't figure all this out. So, and then also starting fertility acupuncture, which has been cool. I've never done acupuncture before, but the only time I can fit it in is like early in the morning before the workday starts. So then I only have to go twice a week, but like, and again, it is I mean, that's first world problems that, like, I'm complaining, like, thankfully, I can afford all of these services and appointments and things like that, but it's just a lot to manage, and it's exciting because my fertility doctor is pretty confident that we can get pregnant, as he told it to us. He was like, "Ready to get pregnant? Because we can get you pregnant, but we gotta go," you know? So, um, but it's like I told Bonnie that it was like, I am so excited about that because she was almost like, because, we've talked about that a lot, where she's like, I'm kind of surprised you're not more like, woo. And I was like, I was the day he told me that. But then now with so much going on, it's like I have to take everything just like one day at a time as it's coming, or I would just get too overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, also my form of self-care with that is being like, just do today and nothing else. And
Yeah.
I think that's helped a lot, especially, as we both discussed, like both of us try and cope and manage anxiety. And mine is always about like catastrophizing or what my mom was reading about, kind of called like pre-anxiety, where you're just always thinking about what if, when this happens, etc. And, so I think also just focusing on, like, this day helps me to not go too far into the what ifs, you know?
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It's probably easier, like you said, if you just focus on day by day instead of it all at once, because that's probably very overwhelming, even if it's exciting things.
I was at, Loyola Law School last week doing a presentation on self-care, ironically, and so I was just, like, using myself for all of the examples. It was just about, like, how burnout can happen and things just from, like, everyday stress, like, it doesn't have to be something catastrophic to lead you into burnout or crisis, and, so I was like, "Oh, y'all, I'm sharing a lot. Hopefully, this helps it to sink in," but and talking about does help. So thank you, Jesse, for listening to my tales twice now because Jesse
Oh,
did
no
listen to me
problem.
before we started recording too.
No, like you said, it's always good to just talk about it. I mean, that's the best thing, you know. I mean, sometimes when you have so much going on, it's good to stress dump, as you call it, just to get it all out. So, I'm glad and thankful that you shared, especially such personal things, I mean, it's really exciting that you and Lewis is trying to get pregnant and hopefully, everything goes great and you know, um you got a lot on your plate for sure. I know with it being Suicide Awareness Month, I know with work, it's been probably something every other day, every day. I know how that goes.
Yeah, well, you're in it too.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it's funny that you mentioned your therapist because, like I told you earlier, I told my therapist, like I was like, yeah, work's going all right, and she was just like, I could never do your job. Like it's just too much stress. It's a whole different type of pressure. But like we said before we started recording, I kind of agree with you. Like when you're so passionate about something, it almost feels like it's not work, but it is. But I do agree with you that it's definitely an extra added layer of stress and, definitely commitment. You want to make sure, you're at your best to, be able to be there for anybody that needs it and stuff. So self-care is very important. I think especially in our field of, work.
Yeah, and I think kind of like with self-care, like even thinking about like, I don't know, weird ways of conceptualizing it, I guess, but like, and this is controversial the way I've handled things, and totally am fine if people don't agree with what I've done. But, for me, like when my grandfather was dying, I had seen him the week before because it's his dog that I have now. I don't know if I ever said that, but
Mm,
he had been able to have his dog at his memory care facility, but then when he was getting so sick, I mean, he just basically was kind of in the bed all day. He didn't really know what was going on. His children, my mom, aunt, and uncle, had been thinking it might be time to transition the dog elsewhere because he doesn't really know that he's there. And then the facility was afraid the dog was becoming a tripping hazard.
mm,
And then my grandfather, when he had come to my house the last time, was like, "I love your house and I love your yard." This is when he still had his words. That's gonna make me cry. So we'll just move past that right now. And so we thought, Mikey, the dog, would love to be here. And I'm really grateful to my family that I was able to take the dog in and we love having him. So I saw Poppy that Saturday, and I hadn't seen him really since he moved into the memory care facility because it was like, from my perspective, he didn't know who I was really anymore. So it
yeah,
wasn't like beneficial to him. And then it just wasn't for me. That didn't bring me comfort. I went through kind of a similar situation with my grandmother on my dad's side and like that it was just kind of like, I hadn't seen him in a while, and he looked great that day when I saw him. He was in the bed and he was having trouble. He couldn't really find his words, and I'm sure he didn't know who I am, but he like smiled at me and mom. And, he just looked really good. And it was literally one week later that his hospice team, who was wonderful. So, talking about a job that you couldn't do, I could never do hospice work. Those people are
yeah,
literal angels.
yeah. I definitely agree with you there. I couldn't do that
And
either.
yeah. And so when they called her, my mom called me to say, they were pretty confident transitioning, as they call it, that Poppy would be passing away soon. And my mom was like, "I am fine. You don't need to come here for me, but if you want to come, of course you can." And I was like, "If you are fine, I don't really want to." Like my last time I saw Poppy, he looked great, and that's kind of what I'd like to hold. But if you need me, I will be there right now. Um, and so, that was my form of self-care for that. And, I know that's something that people, other people could judge, and that's totally okay. But that was like my way of taking care of myself, where it was like, this is not gonna help me.
Yeah,
Poppy is not alone. My uncle, my aunts, my cousin Holly was there. My cousin Noelle had stopped by. My mom was there. So it's like he was not alone. He was good. And my mom was good. I mean, I called her multiple times every day to just check in and make sure she was okay. But I don't know. It's something that you feel off and on about because, of course, I feel like a little guilty because you just can't help that. And then, I of course hope that, like, I'm like, I don't know, should I just, was I not there for my mom enough? There's just no good way to go through this. But that was like my choice in taking care of myself. So, but it's just a lot.
yeah, and I know you said it may be controversial what people do, but I kind of wish, like when I lost my grandpa, um, almost 10 years ago now, I went up to the hospital, and so I'm scared of elevators. And so me and my baby sister we went to the stairs, and we actually missed that like his, like say, like he was gone when we went into the room, and the sight that we saw, um, I would never, like, I wish I would have never went to the hospital, not because, I didn't want to be there for my family, because I love my family. I'm like you, if they're, I'm going to be there no matter what, because I know my family would be there for me. But the image that I had to see is not the image that I wanted to be the last image. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, you can think of memories and things, and I do, like, I think my mind just like blocks it out unless like I'm like, unless I talk about it, or even though 10 years later, like it still affects me. That was a big reason why I was going to, I got into therapy, because grieving, I've never lost anybody that close to me before. Like I'm lucky, like I have all my siblings. My mom, my dad, like we did lose a cousin at 15. I think he was 15. He was one of the first cases in Georgia that got had meningitis. But we
Mm.
were still kind of young.
Yeah.
But me and my grandpa were very close. Um so like I it was very hard, because like we thought he was coming home. but he's been suffering for a long time. And I just remember like texting him while he was in the hospital. And I was like, "Hey, Grandpa, I love you. I hope you're okay." And he's like, "Hey, Jessica, I love you and I'm okay." And that was the last text. And my wife got it engraved on a little dog tag for me because she was like, "Look at it as him always telling you like he's okay." Like, grant, I mean, whatever you believe in, I believe, in heaven. So I believe he went to heaven to be with God. He was a very he was, great man. But I do wish that I kind of thought about my self care at that time, um, because I do agree with you. I think that sometimes you want like you said, your last memory that you saw with him was a week before and he looked great, he smiled at you, and so that's going to be the last memory you have. That's amazing. And like I kind of like wish I would have thought about that like when I went up to the hospital, because like that's something you can't shake, but I am glad that I wasn't in the room when he passed, because apparently like he like struggled for a minute, and so my other family members had to see that, and some of them are still dealing with seeing that because it was traumatic. So I am blessed I didn't see that part, but I kind of agree with you. Like you kind of want to remember people that you love and care about that passed away like in their best versions of themselves, even if they're not 100% themselves. But I think that, and then some people need that closure where they see that person. So I do agree with you. It can be controversial, but I will say I wish 100% that I would have sat back and be like, okay, what's smarter for you? You know, um, Instead of being like, okay, I just need to get up there. I just need to be there for my family. Because, you know, you got to kind of balance that out. Like I could have like stayed in the waiting room and still been there for them without, rushing in. But you don't think about those things when people are calling you and like, hey, hurry up, like he's going, so it's just like you're like, what do? You don't really have time to think about it. But I do think it's smart, like with self-care, like you really got to think about some of those situations, like even work and everything, like what's the best gonna be for you.
Yeah, because that was definitely with, he passed away on Saturday, at about 5:40 AM. My mom called me around 6 AM to let me know, and, I was gonna go to an event that night for work that I was really looking forward to. It was gonna be a really beautiful, like, candlelit, remembrance walk for Suicide Awareness Day, and, but I was like, but it was about 2 hours away, and I was like, I just can't, so I
Yeah.
emailed the organizer. I am sure they were very understanding, and let them know what happened. And of course, like I texted our boss, Lavandra, to let her know. And, she's of course great. And it's just like, yeah, like take care of yourself first, So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think like self-care sometimes with things like that are also such a like, and my mom always encourages this, where she's like, trust your gut.
Yeah.
And, she calls it my God gut sometimes, because I as well, I believe in God and I believe in heaven, and I just like when sometimes I'm such a, like, indecisive person about, like, the little things, and I get so nervous about the tiny things. Like, if I had to call and, like, make a doctor's appointment, it would never happen. Like, thank goodness everything happens fine now. But, like, there's just certain when it's, like, bigger things, I'm just like, I know what I need to do. And,
Yeah.
so just trying to, like, really trust in that, and that was just kind of one of those moments for me. The same with really wanting Mikey, the dog, like, I was like, I think that he'd be really happy with us, and he is. He is so spoiled and he loves it and he deserves all of it. And then that's really nice too, because it's like having a piece of Poppy with me. And
Yeah.
and there's some joy to this because, he and my grandmother were like, they literally could have been a movie. Like, they were like the notebook. Like, my grandparents fell in love when they were younger. My grandmother fell in love with my grandfather first because he's a little bit older than her. And her mom was his teacher, and he was in the Marines, and he was like leaving, and he would like write letters to my Mima, my grandmother's mother, because I mean everybody loved her. If anybody's from Columbia, Louisiana, and Francis Morris was your teacher, that is my Mima. But and grandmama was just like so in love with him. And then she, kept getting older, and was still in love with him. And then they started writing letters back and forth. And she wasn't a child, let me clarify. She was a teenager and then aged into being an adult. But then So then they end up talking more once she's a grown up and then falling in love. And we're always so beautifully in love and lust, by the way. I'm like, this is weird, but my grandparents were doing it until the day they died. We found lingerie in my grandmother's clothes when we were going through, like lingerie that I wouldn't even wear. Sorry, grandmama. Oh my gosh, grandmama's gonna be so mad at me for saying this. But goals. But they were just always so in love, and they always said, like, we want to die together. We just want to fly away like birds together. That's always what they said. And my grandmama died about 3 years ago now. Yeah, in October. And it's been 3 years that Poppy's been living without her and then living with dementia and getting worse. And so it was like for everybody who knows them, now we're like they're in heaven and like that's how they're supposed to be is together.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah. I like that. That's cute. That's my grandparents were together forever too, and my grandpa kept this little journal that we found when he passed away, and they went on a little cruise, and he was talking about my grandma, how pretty she looked, and it was just
Mhm.
so sweet. And he would always like hold her hand on the couch, and she would still blush. And
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
know about their sex life. Don't know about that, but
I know my grandmama is scowling at me right now for saying that on the podcast.
It's
Sorry.
all good. It's all good. But I think it's sweet. Like I think when people are like that's how my sister is gonna be. My little sister literally got with her boyfriend when she was 16. She's now 33, and they're like little dum dums running around like Disney characters. And but they're so cute. Like they're so in love. They got two cute little boys. Now she's pregnant. And she's due November 12th. But because she's had C-sections, they're thinking about pulling her either the 5th, November 5th or 7th. Um, so, we get to meet her, and she'll be the first actual girl on my mom's side. Because there's like 19 grandkids. And we're a blended family. So my mom's really excited about that, but it's also very stressful because my sister has pretty rough pregnancies. So that's been like really stressed out. Like sometimes when my phone goes off in the middle of the night, like I freak out. Like I just automatically assume something might be wrong just because like her first child, it went okay, but like the birthing process, she had some not so good nurses and let her go for too long that it went into an emergency C-section, and then her cervix shrinks up, so she has to get a collage. So if she goes into labor, it's automatically an emergency medical situation. So she has to get to the hospital quick and get that collage taken out, and then get the C-section. So and with her second child, she was bedridden. I mean, she had no energy. It was just really rough on her. This one, the girl, and she's hungry all the time. So my sister's like we call it like she's like almost 5 pounds, and like 2 weeks ago she was like only like three, almost four, and so we keep making fun of her. We're like, you're gonna be in the paper, like you're gonna have like a 15 pounder, and then we're joking with her like we gotta take back the newborns because she ain't gonna be able to get in, and
Yeah.
she's like, shut up, no, and so we're planning her baby shower. It's on October 4th. So that's been stressful, just trying to get it organized and getting everybody, who's coming, who's not coming, and then, going down to Georgia, because I live in Tennessee. So, I have to go to Georgia, and then make sure we have enough time to set up on Saturday before everybody starts arriving. So that's been really stressful, but exciting, like it's like me and my mom are both like, she said her hips were hurting yesterday or the day before, and like I don't know why, but I was like up half the night worried. I was just like, well, what if the baby's trying to come? She's already like 20 pounds, like, and my mom's like, well, maybe her hips are just spreading. When you get pregnant, your hips kind of spread, even though, your body doesn't know you're having a C-section. So things can happen. And so I just remember, like, as soon as I knew she woke up to get the boys, like, I texted her and I was like, how's your hip? And she was like, oh my gosh. She was like, I'm fine. And then she was like, have you been up, like, worried? I was like, yeah. Like, I was like, I just didn't want to text you. But, and then works, it's been stressful a little bit. But I'm grateful for it, for work, definitely. We've seen a higher volume. I know V-Link has seen a higher volume in calls and texts and things, which means more people are reaching out, which is great. Um, so that's an amazing thing that it looks like, 988 needs to be known everywhere, and there's a lot of places that don't know it. So, um, the more we can bring awareness to that number in general, is helpful. So, um, but other than that, my mom, she just recently lost her aunt and uncle, so she has to do a lot of things in Knoxville, Tennessee, because that's where they live. So she's been stressing out. I've been feeling bad for her because she's already got, a few health issues going on, and she takes care of my grandma. I have an aunt that has Down syndrome, and so she's always taking care of them. So I'm always trying to preach to her about self care. I'm like, make sure, you take your time for yourself. Cause that's my mom, like you said, that's your number one. That's my number one as well. Besides her and my sister, and my wife, but my mom's my best friend. And I don't want nothing happening to her. So I'm like, Mom, remember to take some time for yourself, and so she's supposed to come up next weekend and handle some things and then spend some time with me, which is exciting. But yeah, I feel like this month has definitely been a lot. I feel like the next couple of months will be I don't feel like October is going to be as stressful, but I feel like the closer that it's time for my sister to have her baby, it's going to be a little bit stressful, but exciting too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's totally understandable. It's hard when it's like something, someone that you love so much and this baby that you don't even know yet, but you already love, and knowing,
yeah,
stressful things that have happened in the past. I totally get it. Where, I mean, I was talking about this with somebody, I don't remember where, but like where it's like when you are stressed or you're worried that like anytime your phone rings, you're like something awful happened,
yeah.
and yeah, and just even that moment you said of like, okay, I'm gonna wait till I know she's awake, but to text, but it's like, yeah, that's a lot to worry about, especially with something that, like, you can't really do anything about, but you just love your sister so much, so you wanna protect her.
Yeah, yeah, I just don't I don't know, I just don't want nothing bad to happen to her. And I think the first, we were all there for the first birth of her child. I mean, we were there for the second one too. But seeing that what she went through, I think was very traumatizing to us and her. And then, she's just, I mean, she's a warrior, I mean, she gets through it. Like, she's had a lot of other medical issues that she's handled really well and done great, and the baby's great and on point. Then obviously she's a little bit bigger. The baby's a little bit bigger than what they, expected. But it's so funny because she hasn't gained, I don't even think she's hit 20-pound weight gain. So I'm
She's like,
like,
"Oh,
that,
baby."
yeah, you're all baby. And she's so funny because my sister doesn't eat. Like, my sister eats, but not much. Like, her and my mom eat like little birds, and she'll send us pictures of food and be like, "Look how good this is." And I'm like, "This is something you would have never ate like 9 months, 8 or 7 months ago." She's like, "I know," and she's always talking about food. So it cracks me and my mom up because she's not like that with food. Like, she could care less. Like, she was doing protein shakes in the morning, protein shakes for lunch, maybe a meat and a starch and vegetable for dinner. But it's so funny now seeing her. Like, she'll drool. She'll be like, I can't stop thinking about it. Like, she was thinking about chicken wings one time, and I had them sent to her work. Like, I just DoorDashed wings to her job. Because she was like, I can't stop thinking about it. My boss, she was like, I just want to lick her fingers. Like, she was like, I
Oh
could
my
feel. I'm like, Jennifer,
god.
but that's how she is about food. It's so funny. So it's a great, experience to be, that she's going through and to be a part of it, as close as we are. But it's also one that you're like, I just don't want nothing bad to happen. I just want everything to go smoothly, and, the baby come out, be fine, and, her come out, be fine. And so it's definitely a blessing, but it's also like in the back of your head, the what ifs and stuff. So that can be kind of,
Yeah.
stressful. But you just get through it because you can't change it. You can't, be like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the baby out, and y'all gonna be great. Like, you can't,
Yeah.
you just gotta wait and pray and just be there, and that's all you can do.
Yeah. That, reminds me too, I forgot to shout out to my cousin Noelle. She is having her first baby due right around when your sister's is, in
Oh,
November, so we are so excited for that. She's gonna be such a good mom. and her sister, my other cousin Holly, is getting married in October. So wonderful things for my cousins going on. So just thought I would mention that. Not everything is very
That is awesome. That's exciting. I like when there's a lot of positivity that goes in with the family, like new events or like new things. I love that. I'm such a family person, so I get excited over everything. Like my stepmom, or not my stepmom, my mother-in-law's, she's getting a wraparound porch, and she's so excited, and I'm so excited for her because she's so excited, you know. And
Yeah.
then plus that's where we're gonna be sitting, and chilling with her. But you know, I love when good things happen, and it's just a blessing just to even be a part of things with family and stuff and friends and stuff. So
It is. I just like, especially like, I just think, even thinking with friends, like you said, like getting to be like a part of like friends, like special moments and stuff. Like all of my friends, especially the ones that live in town with me, like I just get to be like such a part of their families and with their babies, my goblins, as I call them. And, um, like that's just so wonderful to be able to like have like your pod that you get to like be a part of and like celebrate everything with. And support each other. I mean, I know my friends are always so there for me. Last Friday, my friends Victor and Chrissy, because I just like texted everybody. I was like, who's not working? Because I'm done at noon and I need to do something. And like,
yeah.
so we just like went to hang out and like get lunch. And I was basically like, I'm sorry. I just keep talking about myself. And they're like, oh, you got a lot going on. Like, you can keep talking about yourself, So it's just really nice to have people like that in your corner as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have that support system. I mean, and I tell people all the time that, some people aren't close to their family or some people don't have friends. And I just tell people, I'm like, your support system is your people. It doesn't matter if they're family, friends, your animals. I mean, I was like, I had a breakdown the other day. I don't know what was wrong with my emotions. But I've been going through this like a little emotional battle, and I think it's like my anxiety, like just the meds. You build a tolerance, and me and my psychiatrist are working through it. But so I like broke down every 5 minutes crying. But the sweetest moment in the whole world to me was like my cats was outside, and I talk about Ruffles all the time. But he's my social support. He's everything to me. He's everything. I love that cat. And he was outside, and I started crying. I don't even know why I was crying. And he literally ran in the like living room and put his paw in my hand, and
Oh,
like, how they make the little biscuits, like he did that. So I
yeah.
closed my hand on his paw, and then I was crying on him. So he was looking up, trying to meow at me, and like he was licking my face. And that made me cry even more because he was like trying to console me. And he's a little cat, So and I had to post those pictures on I had to get pictures of it. And I'm like, look, mom, oh, this cat loves me. Like, like and my mom was like, "That is so sweet." But then it made me cry more, and I think Ruffles was confused, like I'm trying here, and but no, it's just it's good to just have, like you said, whether it's your friends, your family, a mixture, anybody that's there for you, or any I mean, my cats are there for me all the time, but to have that circle and have that support, like when you're going through things, and even when they're going through things, you can be there for them. Is such a blessing because it's so hard to find. I feel like a good, decent amount of people, like people that really care, versus people who are trying to just, kind of maybe use you, or, they're like, they could be like some of those people where, you try to talk to them, but they don't really check up on you. So it's good when you have a good support system.
Yeah, I would say, I am really blessed that I have one, my amazing, precious, cute husband. Happy birthday again. And my parents are so wonderful. My whole family is. And I really like I have friends that I've been friends with since like high school. One of my best friends, Jessica, since middle school. Basically my sister, Amanda, that we've been friends since kindergarten. And then shout out, I'll know if they listen now, to my Fleet family and Livingston, because we are just truly like each other's tribe and just, so close, and everybody is so caring towards each other. And yeah, I mean, that's something that I have a lot of gratitude for, even to the point where I'm like, I don't really deserve this, but I'll keep it,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I definitely get that. It's always that it is nice to have that.
yeah. And now I have Mikey Martin, Mikey Farrow Martin. unless he's acting up, in which case he is Michelangelo. We need to go Michelangelo because he wants to go put his face in all the dog poop, like on his walks. And I'm like, that's gross because you then will put your face in my face, and I don't need that. So,
No, thank you.
so that's the only thing we're really working on.
Oh, he'll get it.
He'll get it, but it's nice to have like I too had like a complete breakdown on Sunday, like a bad one, where I just was like angry and sad and I was crying and like Mike, he's like, I don't, what's this now? But then like
Yeah.
once it was like, calmed, breakdown, I wasn't thrashing around or anything, but like, it was just a lot of emotions. And then once but
Yeah.
he just is like, what you need? Like, do you want me to cuddle you? And I'm like, I do.
That
So
is so sweet. And animals blow my mind like when I see things like that, or, they'll have videos where like their owner passed away and they'll show them like at the gravesite and they lay down and, it is sad, but it's so sweet. And I think that like a lot of people take animals, for granted. And just how smart they are, and like they really are companions. I've never looked at my animals as like, oh, they're just animals. I've always, it's me, my wife, and our four fur babies. Like if my wife would allow it, we'd send out Christmas cards every year. Like my brothers and sisters are sending pictures of their kids growing up in our family chat, and I'm sending pictures of my cats. I'm like, look, like Ruffles turned 4 today, and my family, they'd laugh, but their support, they get it. My dad, he has a dog that he's really close with. That when he lost his my gra- when he lost my grandpa, it was his father. He got close to a dog. His name's Daxton, and that's his baby. And I think that helps my dad a lot, like having him there. So it's just great all around that we can find support, whether that's within people, animals. You know, it's just nice.
it really is. And I know even as we've been talking now, I keep even thinking about like more amazing like support system people that I have. And it's just again, shout out to like my New Orleans tribe and to Joy, shout out to Jackie, my kettle. So and just I could never even begin to list everybody, but know that I really love and care about everybody that is in my life because I've got amazing support system. Speaking, this is going to be a rough transition, but I'm doing it, of self-care. Jesse and I both love to read as part of our self-care. And
Hmm.
we'll give our listening slash viewing audience a little sneak peek for the next episode, episode 25. It's like our quarter, well, that's a Hunger Games reference, but not in the same way. But we have been reading some books by author K.M. Walton, and she just might be our next guest that we are super excited about. Um, it was interesting, I think, us talking about this reading because these books were not feel good. I guess for lack of a better term, they were so good,
Yeah.
amazingly good. And that's why I guess they weren't feel good. KM Walton, y'all of course hear more about her on our episode, but she is a former middle school teacher, now author, who writes from a place of write stories YA kind of aimed about bullying, mental health, addiction, and suicide. And yeah, I read her book Empty after Jesse had organized this interview, and she sent me pictures of Cracked and which is her other book, and also oh shoot, what's the other one?
The ultimatum.
The Ultimatum. So I got Empty so I could read it before our interview, and Jesse was like, I read all these books in one weekend, and I'm like, all right. Let's see. And I never put it down. I read the full thing in like
Yeah.
about 3 hours and it wrecked me in a very good way. Like it emotionally hit in such a real way that I mean, I don't know if I've ever experienced, especially in a book about suicide,
Mhm.
because I could be quite critical of that since that is clinically what I work with. So we're so excited to talk to her.
Yeah, yeah, she's definitely very talented in her writing. I mean, like I said, there were parts in that book, Empty, that you're speaking of, that I saw myself when I was a kid, and I was like, man, I went through that, or I've had friends that have went through this, and I've had to, I've experienced this with them, and it's definitely a book that you have to take a moment after you read it, um, and probably do some self-care. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, decompress something. Might have to walk outside and breathe some air. It is very good, but it's very real. And that's what I like about in all her books. Because they're very real things that people can relate to. Like with crack, it's very relatable for people who struggles with addiction and bullying, or just not feeling good enough. And then the ultimatum, that one is, you just learn so much about trust. I feel like the main thing is like finding yourself as a person, and that, like, the main purpose of that book, I think, is that what the girl was going through is just finding out who she is as a person without being told, and like, all the stuff about her life that was not. It's just a really good book. That book I couldn't put down either. All three of them, like I said, I read them all in one weekend. And um there's not many authors that I feel like can do that, but Ellen Hopkins and Kate Glasgow and K.M. Martin have R. Walton have all been amazing. Their books are really good. But this empty book that we're talking about, I suggest, like, it's a great book, but if you do go out and read it because you hear about us talking about it, please take some time, and just know
Yeah.
it's not like, not all books have beautiful endings. Like, it's not like that. So just try to, because I think for some people it could be a little triggering, but the storyline of it all is amazing. And I just, like I said, my favorite part about it is that it is so real, and it's something that we see happens all the time. So, with bullies and kids and how they treat people for certain things. So, I'm really excited to go, talk about her episode more, and do that episode in general, because I think it's going to be a great episode.
I do too. I think that she's a really important author. I'm so glad you arranged for us to be able to speak with her and that you encouraged me to read her books because I mean, they're very impactful and they're very raw. There's no cliches in these. And yeah, to Jesse's point, very important reading these books, like with KM Walton to remember, like I went into it like, oh, look, this is me having self-care. No, no, that was very enriching for me, but it was not self-care because I was very, I needed to, yeah, self-care after reading this
Yeah.
because, it was a lot. That doesn't that was I am so glad I read it. I recommend it to people now, but it is like pick your time in which you are ready
Mhm.
to read it. Yes, Jesse and I were talking about that before we started recording. Like Jesse had told her sister, while you're pregnant might not be the best time, and I had told my
Yeah.
mom the same thing of like, you got a lot going on right now. This might not be the best time, because it is so good. It is truly, we
It
say
is.
that as to how good of an author she is, but it's good in this way that these very tough subjects hit tough.
Yeah.
And but yeah, we can't wait to interview her and be able to share that with y'all.
Yeah, that is very exciting. And I'm so excited to find out, like, how she makes these moments in her book like so realistic. Because I've read, like, other books and they've been good,
Mhm.
but like you said, this book was like raw. Like, it almost is like I envisioned every part of every page of that book. And you know, I just I still, like, when I'm just like, oh wow. Like, but it's just so mind blowing how well she captures each moment in her writing, that there's a lot of people that can relate at different parts of the book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that is so, like, amazing when an author can do that. But just because you reach a lot of people that way, when you are able to just be so real and honest and raw, that you have more people that are like, oh, for the first half of the book, I felt this. And the second half, I've seen this, or I can relate to this part, or I can relate to page 57, and it's just so neat when somebody can write that well, that you can literally, like, vision every part of that person's story in that book. And that's what she does in all her books. Every single one, I literally felt like I knew these people. I felt like they were my
Yeah.
friends, like, or I was like, like in my head, I was like telling them, trying to give them advice in my head. And I was like, this is a book, calm down. But it was really all three of them. Like I said, she's got Cracked, Empty, and The Ultimatum. They're not like sequels of each other or anything, but they're all different. All three are wonderful books. You just got to, kind of know that some of the subjects talked about in the books are really tough subjects.
Yeah, they're tough and it's written extremely well.
Hmm.
And so, take care of yourself. Pick your time, pick your moment. I told Jesse I didn't pick the greatest moment because I read that basically up until 1 hour before I not needed to, was able to, had the privilege to facilitate our loss support group, which I absolutely love doing. But I'm like, I need to time things better because I need to be able to kind of put all of my emotions and all of my attention into that group, of course. And it's like, but I took a bubble bath, vented to Lewis, was good to go.
There
Um,
you
but
go.
those are
Self
my
care at its best.
exactly. It is for me. It was like get out in the sun, now go take a bath, vent to your husband. Um, the end. So I just everybody in my life just has to hear me vent, including you, Jesse. Thank you for being
Oh, I'm
an
always here.
amazing part of my support system as well.
Oh
And
yeah.
you know it, we're getting close to a year since we started this
I
podcast.
know in December. We started in December, right? Or was it the last?
I think it was like October.
Was it that soon? It may have been.
I
I'll
could
have.
be completely wrong. That's what I thought. I
I
know it was definitely in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I know, and it was towards the end of the year. I remember that. But yeah, we've been almost doing this for a year, and we've had a lot of great episodes. I think all of them have been wonderful. We've had some amazing guests, and you know, um, just being able to be there for each other, is nice, and um it's all been great. I love that V-Link was so supportive of doing the podcast, and I'm glad they paired us together and we got to do it together, and it's just been it's a huge blessing.
Huge for me too. And I'm just so glad that we got to know each other through all of this too.
Yeah.
Um, okay, now that we've been cheesy, but we mean it. We can do our sign off and we will see y'all for episode 25 with Kay and Walton. But thank y'all for being here today and having some real talk with us. Thank you, Jesse, for listening to me and being an
Thank
amazing
you as
support.
well.
All right, ready for our sign off?
Yep.
Okay, this has been Real Talk with Jesse and Sherrod. No
No
filter,
filters,
no
no
fluff,
fluff, just real
just
talk.
real talk. Hooray!
Yay.